What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back with another live stream. Spurs were beaten yesterday at the Tottenham Stadium, 2-1 to end a year of misery at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's fair to say 4 wins, I think, in the calendar year in 2025. I'm not exactly sure how many games it is, but must be at least 20 odd games with 4 wins. Literally can count on one hand the amount of wins we've had at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the year 2025, which is absolutely diabolical. Ben is not with us today because it is his son's Joshua's 2nd birthday. So everyone in the comments wish Joshua a very happy 2nd birthday. So Ben isn't here. So you are going to have to contend with the always level-headed Mr. Brian Daigle in the studio.
Always level-headed, never thinks with his heart, always thinks with his head. And you keep saying happy birthday with Josh, mate. Like I said to you earlier, happy 2nd anniversary of having the greatest job in the world of being an uncle, which is the best job in the world. I wouldn't change it for anything. But yeah.
Ben, look, in Josh's 2nd birthday, you shouldn't have to think of results like yesterday. Take the day off, calm your mind. You should be in a good place for your son's.
Do you know what?
Birthday.
This is why I'm so happy I'm born in June. Spurs cannot ruin my birthday via results. But like you said, 4 home wins all season. For any football club, it's unacceptable. For Tottenham Hotspur, it's bonkers. But let's face it, we're going to discuss a lot of things today. Yeah. But I think, like we were saying,
there's a lot of horrible statistics. That we're going to bring
but
up.
You just look at it, and we've said this before. Since we've moved into the game changer, I think only that first season of Conte when he first came in has been the only time we have had a decent home record. Otherwise, it's been shambolic.
Because even when we first moved in under Poch, we were obviously a good team, and we made the Champions League final, but the league form tanked, and we were losing games quite regularly in that period. So, it's not pretty reading. But look, you can see at the bottom there is one story we're going to speak about before we get into yesterday, and that is the story of Fiorentina approaching Fabio Paratici. The story was broken yesterday from Matteo Moretto. He said that Fiorentina are looking to appoint Fabio Paratici as director of football. A 5-year contract has been offered, and he also goes on to say the negotiations between Fiorentina and Paratici have advanced. Fabrizio Romano says Paratici open to joining Fiorentina, or joining Fiorentina's long-term project, and a key figure for the club's rebuilding. Paratici has a chance to leave Tottenham with formal steps still needed, but talks are ongoing. The Athletic chimed in today, said Fiorentina have approached Tottenham's co-sporting director Fabio Paratici about a surprise return to Italy just over 2 months after his reappointment at the Premier League club. Fiorentina's former sporting director Daniele Prade left by mutual agreement in November following a poor start to the season, and they are yet to replace him. They are currently rock bottom of Serie A, winless in 15 games and 8 points shy of 17th place. And then Matt Law has said this morning as well that Tottenham are yet to receive an official approach for co-sporting director Fabio Paratici from Fiorentina. For me, Brian, no smoke without fire, I don't think, with this one. Obviously, when you think about the reports from Italy coming out, we know that Fabio has a lot of connections there, and usually when it comes to things happening in Italy, Romano and his other journalists like Matteo Moretto and what's the other guy's name? Can't remember off the top of my head right now. Damasio. They a lot of the time when it comes to Italian stuff know what's going on. So the fact they're saying Fab Paratici's keen on this move, the fact they're saying there's been an approach, that leads me to believing there's something in this. Now, he was part of the big rebuild, permanently coming back after Tottenham stood by him after the ban that he received from the Italian FA, worldwide football ban. He did an interview, sat next to Johan Lange a couple months ago about what the plans are going forward and all this kind of stuff. So the thought of him jumping ship, first of all, not only 2 months into the job, but 2 weeks out from a transfer window, which is a very big transfer window, not just for Thomas Frank and for Tottenham, given how the season is going. Is this not completely bizarre that this is happening? And he's looking to join a team rock bottom of Serie A. Yes, they're a big club, but they're not exactly going a good direction. They haven't won a game this season. and they're in a massive fight for their safety. As the report says, they are currently 8 points clear of 8 points away from 17. So they are in a massive fight for relegation. What do you think that would say about, first of all, him, the project Tottenham are building, and the planning going forward if he was to jump ship 2 months in?
All I can say is Tottenham Hotspur at the moment is resembling an EastEnders Christmas special with all the drama and things that are going on. Me and Ben started speaking about this yesterday, and I don't understand it. I mean, if it had been Fiorentina, like you said, are a big club, but if it had been a team challenging up the top, I kind of could have seen, okay, maybe he wants to go. The only thing I can think of is his home. He wants to go back to Italy. Fiorentina, like you said, I remember watching them when I was growing up, and they had Batistuta, one of the greatest strikers you'll ever see. Obviously, they had times with Salah. They're rooted to the bottom of Serie A. Paratici, with all his contacts and everything, if they go down to Serie B or something, can they entice these players? It's just so bizarre and straight out left field. And like you said, this kind of reminds me, like, do you remember Harry Redknapp when we stood by him with the court case, his heart problem, and then everything happened and he went in the summer? Why have Spurs agreed to bring him back? And then within months, we're in a position we could lose him. Whether people think he's a valuable asset or no, get rid, it is just an absolute mess, and I don't understand what is happening here right now. And it, like you said, the big Italian people are talking about it. So like you said at the beginning, no smoke without fire. It's just truly and utterly bizarre to me.
But we're 2 weeks out from a transfer window.
Exactly.
Less now. So what does that mean for our plans? Was he a big part of it? He's supposed to be negotiating these deals. What are we going to do in January if he leaves? Who's going to take it? Who's going to step in? I know we did sign this other guy recently, didn't we? What do they call him? A director of negotiations or something? Something like that. Well, maybe they appointed this guy in the lead up to a potential Fabio exit. If Fabio isn't going to be here, I don't know. Look, I think that's maybe too speculative. But what's not speculative is if he is considering this move, unless this is complete rubbish and he's not considering it, what does that tell you about his belief in our project and his commitment to what we're doing? Because, if a team in 20th in Serie A batting their eyelids at you and you're potentially getting your head turned, like, surely you can't have too much belief that what you want to achieve at where you're at is achievable or going in the right direction. We were sold this big new ENIC 2.0, big rebuild, complete restructure of the club. And at the moment, it's like business as usual. I get all these things get put into place and it takes time for it to mould itself. You're not going to see potential results straight away. But I'm not even talking about results on the pitch. I'm talking about behind the scenes. If Paratici has been brought in as a director of football, apparently Johan Lang has taken a step back from negotiations and is focusing on more younger players, I've been told. It's been reported. So Fabio's the main guy at this football club when it comes to looking for transfers, player recruitment. And he's thinking about leaving after 2 months. That's got to be either a slap in the face or a major embarrassment to the hierarchy, hasn't it?
Yes, when we look at it this way, obviously we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. It could be his family want to go back to Italy. It could be he's not happy with what's going. Who knows what's going on? But either way, this is another catastrophe and embarrassment at Tottenham Hotspur, isn't it?
If it happens, yeah.
If it happens, it looks like we haven't got our ducks in a row. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. Is there belief that Paratici could do the job? Is there belief that ENIC will deliver? Is there a disagreement with him and Lange? Is there a disagreement with him and Frank? Is it with Vinay? Is it with Vivian and Charlie? We just don't know. But like you said, going into a window, the only thing I would hope is if there is smoke with this fire, that, how we've had to wait for this guy from the City Group to see out his notice. Hopefully, if it is Paratici going, it commences after January. Yeah. Because I can't see him saying, we've just done a few months preparation. Now just piss off and leave. Hopefully they'd make him stay till February at the earliest, or maybe even starts in the summer, whatever. But it's just something is fundamentally wrong at this football club from top to bottom at the moment.
It's bizarre, and I agree with you. For me, it sends out a horrible message if,
Yep.
if Fabio's leaving. Maybe it's too harsh to say jumping ship because, you know, as you said, maybe there's something else going behind the scenes. But objectively, if you look at his tenure, we obviously we hired him permanently when we knew he had a court case looming. That was a major embarrassment because
Yep.
he got banned for 2 years when we knew that was a possibility. So that already was a major embarrassment in itself, and Levy came under a lot of criticism at the time because why hire a guy when you know there's a possibility he's going to get banned, which he ended up getting banned. And it wasn't a surprise to anyone. They ended up feigning surprise, saying, "Oh, we were shocked by this news," when everyone said it was a possibility. It wasn't like a secret. And now we've stuck by him. We gave him a consultancy role during this time, which a lot of people are saying he was our de facto sporting director anyway, but he was in a consultancy role behind the scenes. Now the ban is over. We've given him the job permanently again, and he could be out of the door after 2 months by his own volition to a team sitting in 20th in Serie A.
Yep.
I mean, objectively, this whole Paratici thing has been a bit of a disaster in that sense. Obviously, I think he's definitely shown his ability and his skill from getting a deal done or getting deal conditions correct that suit both clubs, and I think he's done that quite well. You know, look at how the Romero deal was structured, the Bentancur, Kulusevski deals. Even I know Gil was a horrible deal, and don't get me wrong, but just the way it was structured, you know, how you got a player swap in there. How often do you in this day and age you see player swaps? Very
Hardly
rare.
ever.
So I'm just saying he's got skill to do that, and that's good. But I also do think there are a lot of question marks. If he's at the head of identifying talent, I don't know if his eye for talent when it comes to. I actually don't think he's got a bad eye for a player. I think what his biggest problem is getting players that are suited to how we play, and getting players that are right for this team. I don't think he has great knowledge in that. I think he's got a good eye for. He's got a he's very good at getting good players in the door, but I think when it comes to getting the right players in, I'm not sure he can, or he's got a good eye for it, or he can be trusted. And when it comes to managerial appointments, I think it leaves a lot to be desired. The managerial disaster a few years ago, which he was head of, you know, that whole search during the summer where we were getting rejected left, right and centre, and we nearly went with Gattuso and ended up with Nuno. That was all Fabio. I don't know how much of a say he's had in hiring Thomas Frank, but if he has had a say in that, I think for me that's been a big mistake. And for me, I think there are big question marks about his suitability for being sporting director at this club, regardless. So for me, I'm not gonna be heartbroken if he leaves. As much as I appreciate his talent as a sporting director and getting deals done, I don't know if he's the right fit for this club. Not necessarily saying he definitely isn't, but for me, from what he's shown so far, I think he gets a lot of free passes from this fan base for a lot of mistakes he's made. But in terms of the whole project and in terms of this whole ENIC 2.0 and in terms of the whole restructuring the club, which, you know, we're going a different direction, we're doing things differently, what that says about that is more damning, in my opinion.
Well, you look at it. One of the things I was looking forward to with Paratici this season, or this window, or upcoming windows, was let's see. Because I don't think if he was still at Juventus, he signs a Galini, he signs a Hill, he signs an Emerson, he signs a Clement Longley. We would have seen if it was Levy working him on a budget and holding him back and not bringing the quality he wanted, or his hit rate wasn't as good as what we thought. And as I said to you on the way in today, if you look at this, we're talking about identifying players. If you look at this football club and where we are now, and this is recruitment, totally down to recruitment, take away Paulinho from this year because he's a loan. The last midfielder we signed, as in a 6 and an 8, not a Madison, whatever, an actual midfielder that was of Premiership quality, was Yves Bissouma. And Conte didn't even want him. So that was Conte's first summer, obviously, where he had us. Since then, we have signed Sarr, young youth potential, Gray, young youth potential, Bergvall, young youth potential. We can clearly see we're missing quality in that midfield. And recruitment of just every time it's buy young, buy young, buy young. We signed Bissouma, obviously hasn't worked out. He's got all the potential in the world. And Spurs haven't identified that as a problem that needs solving. And any time we have been, whether it be a Conor Gallagher or whatever, Morgan Gibbs White, whatever. We've fallen short. So Paratici's been there for some of that time as advisor or sitting in director of football. So has the recruitment been poor because of budgeting and wages, or has it been bad player identification? But my mate Craig was saying that to me about Bissouma, and I looked at it and it's like, how is that acceptable? You look at other big clubs, if they have a problem in an area, they go and solve it. They don't buy... Listen, Bergvall, Gray, Sark could turn out to be wonderful players in a few years, but why is it we are buying potential in youth rather than going, right, we need... I'm all well and good buying youth, but you need a rock in there or a senior player for them to learn off of, and Bissouma isn't someone you want to learn off of. So we'll see what happens with Paratici. It's just another drama at Tottenham, isn't it? It's just another drama at Tottenham. And then if he does go, does Lance take more responsibility again? Does the new guy coming in take over Paratici? Do we bring in a new guy?
We'll have to. We'll have to bring in a new guy. And the problem is, where do we turn? Do we raid Brentford again for someone? Who do we approach? The big issue. And also approaching someone, if it is going to happen either before or in the middle of January, that's obviously a very complicated time for a lot of people probably in the middle of doing their jobs. So that's not a great situation. Does Lang step up in the meantime? Which, the reason we got Paratici is, I'm guessing, we wanted Lang to take a step back. So that's also not a great situation. The whole thing, in terms of it's a mess, and ahead of a massive January, which we'll get into. Yep. This kind of news is not what you want to hear.
No.
I'm sure it's going to put some of the planning in a bit of disarray. So, not great news. Not great news for Tottenham, for ENIC. So, we'll see if it does happen. Maybe it's all smoke and mirrors, and it's not really actually a realistic opportunity. Maybe they approached him and he's going to say no. But as I say, the fact that a lot of these Italian publications are kind of implying that he's interested, that tells me there's maybe something to this. So that's obviously not good at all. And we'll see what happens with the Don. We'll see what happens. Again, I'm not going to be heartbroken for the fact that he's leaving, because I'm not really that bothered, but I think it's just more what it says about the whole project, and that's what I'm worried about, and that's what I can't get my head around, how this is happening. So we'll keep you updated if any news comes to light when it comes to the Don. He was at the game yesterday. Someone who wasn't at the game yesterday was Matt Wells.
Yep.
So he wasn't on the touchline. Obviously, he's one of Frank's assistants. So obviously, there's no real excuse for him missing the game. So that tells me his move to Colorado is getting closer and closer.
Yep.
And then you look at that and objectively, you're like, we started again this restructuring, and within a few months, Matt Wells is going and Fabio's going. So, not a great look, I would say.
You look at it now, and is this a breakdown of the hierarchy and things not being their actions in-house? They're not going to be matching what they've been saying. I've said I'm going to give ENIC 2 windows, and I'm going to stand by it. But obviously, you can understand Matt Wells, like what happened with Mason. At one point, these coaches want to become managers. But what I will say with it is, if we do, well, it looks like we are losing Matt Wells, and maybe we do lose Paratici, any hiring that we bring in, it needs to be external, because I don't think there's anyone at the club that can do it internally. We need to get some proper football people in, and I mean real ex-pros that know their stuff, that have got their connections, that can actually do something for this football club, because I don't know what's going on right now. There is a complete... Just when we thought after Levy left and ENIC were making all these positive steps and moves and being more open and doing more videos and being more inclusive of the fans and letting us know what's going on, it's just been radio silent now, hasn't it? It's just been radio silent. Yeah. Listen, I don't expect Vinay to come out every single week and drop a video. We're coming into January now. This is where the nuts and bolts of all the hard work...
I'm sure we'll get a video after January.
Exactly. Or even at the beginning or during, you know what I mean? It's like he was very upfront coming up with all these interviews when there are big announcements being made. Right now, I've seen a lot of people going, where's Vinay? What's he doing? Blah, blah. right now, I don't think he needs to do a video because it's planning and preparing for January and getting ready. There's no other directors of football, whatever his position is, CEO, whatever you want to call it, coming out and say, this is what we're doing, this is how it's going. But we are entering now, and I've been speaking to my mate Craig, who I can see in the chat, about, and yourself and Ben and others. I don't think there has been a transfer window that's approached that Tottenham need to literally go at this with all their might and go against the grain of what we've done normally and bring in real quality, whether it be loans because of the World Cup market, whether biggest no-brainer is someone that I didn't want under Andrew, and I didn't. Conor Gallagher now comes in. He revolutionised this midfield. We need people of that ilk, leadership, mentality, quality, and that come in and know they can do the job, rather than going, okay, he's the youngster, another one for the future. And Spurs need to really attack this market. This January needs to be, we were talking before, like I said, with Chelsea, with Enzo and whatever. I'm not asking us to go spend £100 million on players. What I am asking is there's certain players in certain profiles of positions where we are lacking quality leadership, experience. You have to go for it. You have to go for it.
Yeah, and just quickly going back on Matt Wells, obviously he was Frank's assistant, and before the season, I believe they said he's the one in charge of defensive setups and stuff. So if we're losing him, which it looks like, first of all, has his mind not been there the last few matches, because defensively we've looked a lot worse recently.
Yep.
Maybe his mind's been on Colorado, but that's besides the point. We're going to have to replace him as well.
Yep.
And what do we do there? Do we appoint internally for a coach to take on defensive roles? Do again look outside? Do we go back to Brentford again for one of their assistants? It's going to be interesting next few weeks when it comes to that. So Paratici and Matt Wells potentially both going to need replacing in the near future. So not great.
I was about to say, what I will say, if Matt Wells were defensive, without sounding stupid, you've got two people that work as ambassadors in Ledley King and Michael Dawson. Whilst you're trying to find the right appointment, with all their experience, knowledge and attributes they had, surely they could do something.
Well, Ledley was coach under Mourinho, wasn't he?
Exactly. So what, if I don't know what Ledley would be like as a coach of a whole team or whatever, but if you told me I'm a Spurs defender, I'm going into training learning under Ledley King and Michael Dawson, I'm going to learn something. And two players that know what this football club means and resembles and stands for. So whilst they're looking for the right appointment, you have two players there that know absolutely everything about this football club and what is required. So hopefully they'll lean on that whilst they look.
All right, well, that is the stories that are coming out at the moment. We'll keep you informed with any updates that do happen with Paratici or Matt Wells. But now